What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Contractor Secrets podcast. In today's business breakthrough, I sit down with my friend Douglas of WonderWall Painting, and wow, this was a great episode. We talk a lot about what's stopping him from removing himself from being on the job. So he is not the full-time painter. He's got 6 employees, and there was something that kept pulling him toward the jobs, balancing time, balancing schedules, a lot of the issues that a lot of us deal with. And we found something in his business that you're not going to want to miss. So listen all the way through. I would love for you to take the challenge of doing what I did with Douglas in your own business. And you're going to find out here soon in the business breakthrough. The big question you need to ask yourself every day is, do I own a job or do I own a business? And unfortunately, the majority of contractors out there own a job. That's right, they're a slave to their own business. But the other side of the fence is so much greener, it's so much better, and that's when you're finally fully in control of your destiny, your freedom, your time. And that's what Contractor Secrets is about. It's about taking back our time, building a business with systems, standards, values, procedures, putting yourself in the driver's seat. And that's what it's about. So I'm excited. I'm happy to have you here. Let's dive into the Contractor Secrets podcast. So what is up, everyone? I'm here with Douglas Yeager of WonderWall Painting. We're here for a business breakthrough. Douglas is a listener of the podcast, so I'm sure he knows that typically I just ask, first off, what's going really well and what's an area that you'd like to see some improvement in?
Sure. So what's going really well is I've been on a kind of a hiring spree, which is phenomenal. So
like
since
that.
the pandemic hit, let's say last March of 2020, I lost 2 employees to COVID-19. So they went on unemployment. And then about 8 or 9 months later, about 3 or 4 more employees left. So in January, we had so much work, very little workers to do the work. And I had contracts to do this residential painting in and around Columbus, Ohio. So luckily, like one by one, I was able to kind of fill those roles and train people. And I got another female painter who's now like a crew leader on our team.
There you go.
2 months ago.
Hey, females can do it, and they can do a really good job.
I have 2 now. One is actually the daughter of a school teacher we know who teaches our son in middle school nearby. So the daughter is taking sort of a gap year in college. So she's been helping us out. It's been wonderful because she loves the before and after effect. So I have 2 females on the crew, and I just hired another gentleman from the food industry. He started with us.
That's a good hire. Typically, they're really good with multitasking.
They're good with multitasking, and they're not scared easily. They know the fast-paced environment of a kitchen.
Yeah.
They're always behind the 8 ball. It's like go, go, go. And now you put them in this role, and they're like, they sense, okay, I can grow here. There's accomplishment.
And I'm not fight or flight mode all day.
Yeah, exactly. And they really like the before and after aspects. And I tell them, like, take photos of the work that you actually do. I'm setting you up. And enjoy the ride. If we're doing an exterior,
that's the lovely part of being in home improvement, man. Is just you get to create a business that has that effect on the people doing it, man. You get that satisfaction, as opposed to like a bagger at a grocery store, man. I mean, you don't really get that like that. All right, I did this task, I get this reward out of it. So it's awesome, man. And I love that. So let me ask you this. You told me what's going really well. What's an area that could use a little improvement?
I would say it's kind of self-induced, so it falls on me just to kind of let go of the reins. I've been doing this long enough, and I've kind of held on so much to, I got to be the first one up. I have to do the sales, the phone calls, run to the paint store. I was very, very hands-on, training, just kind of doing everything. The Facebook.
How long have you been in business?
So filed for the business license in January of 2014. Been painting for many years before that. Actually learned the trade as a young boy, as a teenager. My father was a school teacher who painted houses in the summer.
Okay.
So I learned the trade early on.
So I just want to make sure I'm keeping my statistics correct here. You have 3 people that work for you currently?
Right now, including myself, we're up to 7.
Oh, you're up to 7. You were just telling me about the new people that are coming.
Yeah, I have one gentleman who's like my master painter. He's like an artist. which I love
Okay.
having on staff. I've
So
had
is he? So he runs one of the crews.
he's kind of like he's on the crew. He doesn't run the crew. He's on the crew.
Okay. He's on the
He's
crew. Who runs the crew?
the new
Who's
hire.
that?
Her name is Alyssa.
Okay.
So
So
Alyssa
Alyssa
runs
runs
the
the crew.
crew, and I actually took one of your podcasts to heart, and I decided to not break everybody up into three little jobs, but just to gang them up on one job.
Isn't it better?
It's better because we're all learning from each other. We're there and we're accountable, and everyone takes their own action of, okay, Anthony, you're going to do ceilings. You're my ceiling guy. Scott, you're my master plaster guy. You're going to do all the plaster repairs in this house. And then
Right.
Emma, Alyssa, and anybody else is going to jump in, start cutting and rolling walls.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
you're
fun product.
identifying strengths and you're putting people in positions to succeed, but deep
Sure.
down, subconsciously and internally in your employees, they feel a collaborative and a collaborative effort, man. And that's what I
Sure.
care about most is the fact that we're all contributing to something. And when the weight of doing things over and over again, exceeds the value that they're receiving, that's when disgruntled employees happen. And
Right.
I'm sure in your time you've experienced that where you've said,
Sure.
hey, you have two guys doing a house every week. What
Right.
happens? Burnout. Has that happened to you? You've been
Oh,
in business long
absolutely.
enough.
They
So
just kind of,
yeah.
especially during the pandemic, they just looked for other things.
Yeah.
When the
Yeah.
mask mandate came on, I was very careful that we are all masked up because a lot of our clients are, they're stay-at-home moms. There's young children,
Sure.
and I guess
Sure.
early on in the industry, in this business, I did set the bar a little high. I'm very selective in my interview process.
Yeah.
Nobody smokes. I don't allow it on the job. Nobody drinks on the job. Just expect them to, okay,
Sure.
if you're alone in this house, I am going to
Yeah.
trust you.
Yeah. You gotta
start
be.
to
I love the standard. I love the standard. So I have to, come from a different angle here. If that's your standard, what has caused what I would say would be not failure, but just you're it seems like you're leveled out because it's been
Right.
almost 6 years.
Sure.
And after 6 years, if there would be continued growth, I assume that you would be probably consistently hitting $1 million in a year, which I know that you're not hitting.
No.
You're not there yet. You're
No.
probably hovering maybe five or 600,000.
Yeah, it's less than that. So
A little bit less than
I
that.
just grew to 7 people.
Just grew. Okay.
Just
And
grew
you
to
told
7
me that,
people.
yeah, you told me that. I know that you told me that, the thing that you battle is letting go of the reins. I
Right.
really like that you hired somebody new and placed them in a leadership position. What prompted that? Just her
Well,
experience
it
or
was the experience, and she just really, like, out of the gate within the first couple of weeks. I start everybody off at 15 an hour, so I'll be transparent about that. So my hiring process is you come on board. I don't care if you have 20 years experience or zero experience, have never held a paintbrush in your life. I'm going to start you at 15 an hour. And if you show me that you're willing to grow and to learn and come on board with our work instructions and learn them, I'm going to give you $1 increments. I'm not going to give you a quarter raise because you'll never see that in your paycheck. You're going to go from 15 to 16 to 17. She's up to 19 an hour now. So I'm not afraid to pay people. And this is after 2 months. She is
2
on
months?
the ladder, the first one at the job, doing the little details that I've asked early on. It just
Yeah.
clicked with her too.
We call those unicorns.
Yeah. And I'm like, I can't
They're
believe it.
unicorns. They're great.
She came from the food industry and
Cool.
very fast paced.
Wow.
She likes to work,
But what's good is
weekends.
that she's paired with somebody who would you say is a master painter to complement her in
Yeah,
areas that
sure.
so she has the leadership aspect. So what you're building is great. So now you have 7 people. So Alyssa works with the master painter. Who's the next person on that crew?
So then I have Anthony, who's been with me for a while,
Okay.
about a year and a half. So he's still learning the trade, but he's great at doing
Okay.
ceilings, rolling out walls.
All right. And
Um,
then who's the next one?
So I have Riley. Today's his 3rd day. So we just
Third
started on
day.
Wednesday.
All
Also
right.
from the
So
food industry.
that's 4. Now, do you normally have 2 jobs going on at once, or
Sometimes I have 2.
sometimes you have 2, but now that you've transitioned to putting everyone on one job,
Mhm.
is that okay?
It's
So you have 7.
and I'm new to this. The all hands on deck scenario,
Uh-huh.
and I find it's going to be
The
easier.
customers love it, by the way.
Customers love it because we're all uniform. We all have WonderWall paintings coming
Yeah.
on. We show up on time. I just got a
Yeah.
new cargo trailer, so which is beautiful. Been wanting one for a
Yeah.
while.
Heck yeah.
Everything's there. I leave it at the job site. There's no more running.
All right. So you're here today though on a Friday, and it's 10 o'clock my time, 10:18. You're telling me that one of your things is letting go.
Right.
Seems like you're doing a pretty good job of that. What's so special about today?
Take our son to school today, drop him off, and still meet the crew at 8:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Delegate work.
So when you go and so is today the last day of a job, or are you guys just starting a job?
Well, to be honest, so they finished early. So since I've been putting people together, they're finishing jobs a little earlier.
You got to be careful about that.
Yeah. So
yesterday, you got to be careful.
I got a phone call from the crew leader, Alyssa. He said, "There's no doubt in my mind that we cannot finish today."
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I'm going to keep interrupting you because I want to make sure we're staying narrow, and I don't want to miss things. So don't take it offensively, please.
Sure.
I just want to ask you. So they're not working today?
No, they're working at my house. So since there's a little bit of lag time, I didn't want them sitting home, so they're actually helping me do the trim work at my house.
You have 7 people outside your house right now working?
I have 6. Well, when I say 7, I'm including myself.
Oh, okay, so
I pay myself.
That's a good. That is a very, very good leadership move. But how many times can you do that? Which I think you use your house card to use your house card today.
Right.
Okay.
And that's probably once or twice a year.
That was a good move.
Another big job we have starts Monday. We couldn't get into Monday because they're moving.
Yeah, but that's good. That's good. So you have a couple options there. You either penalize them for finishing early and send them, and then don't pay them today. Right. You either pay them for doing nothing, or you say, you know what, bring them over. I'm going to pay them to work on my house today. Yeah, that's very impressed with that.
Sure.
Yeah, and your wife is happy.
Extremely happy. So I started this trim work literally 3 years ago. Yeah. And old brick house, but the wood windows have to be reglazed, scraped, primed, painted.
Got it.
Getting it done.
So I see some windows there. Is there a chance that somebody's going to climb up on that ladder in this
I
video?
Hope not. Low to the ground. It's very, very bright in here. Getting a nice
that's funny. No, that's good. That's good. Okay, so that's something you're gonna have to learn. You just started doing that. Is that just the pacing is something that you've developed for years? You've learned how long it's supposed to take 2 guys to do a job, or 2 painters, and then you learn how 3 painters. I think that the sweet spot for you, I don't think 6 is like the max, and I'm sure you're getting that. But what I see, the issue that I see is it sounds like you only have 1 leader. And that's Alyssa right now, is who you actually trust. Is that what's happening? And I'm a little concerned. Yes. Yeah, that's what's happening. I mean, because, and that's fine. And sometimes those master painters that you have are just so, they're like the horses with the blinders on. They're so great at what their task is. When you expect them to sit back for a second and oversee, that's when you run into issues. So, so when Monday comes, you have this big job. How long is that job supposed to last?
So it's a friend of mine who's moving out. So it's going to be, I call it a painter's dream whenever there's an empty house with no pets, no kids, no furniture. You just walk in, blast out, ceiling walls, some trim work. So I have 6 days, actually 5 days blanked off on my calendar. So I use Estimate Rocket for all of our invoicing and quotations and scheduling. So have next Monday through Friday, we're going to get in, do a little bit of wall repair. We want to get the house on the market as soon as possible. So we'll get it done by a week from today, next Friday. And after that, it just jumps to other jobs that are pretty much longer than 3 days with the whole group on them. That being said, I don't want to be caught in a dilemma where I'm getting a phone call saying, hey, we're going to finish early. We're going to finish today. So just to reiterate, you said this job should last the whole week? 5 days with everybody on.
5 days. That's what you budgeted for. All right, let's talk numbers. What'd you sell the job for?
It's $5,300.
$5,300 for 5 days.
Yeah.
That's definitely not going to sustain 6 painters and your profit. And does that include materials?
That's everything.
Was that a friend price, or do you keep your price consistent?
My crew is averaging like 32 to 35 hours a week.
Yeah, I know, but I always think maxing out. I always think I have to think that because that's what your employees expect out of you is a
Right.
maxed week. That's
Right.
why they applied. So in any case, you need to be pricing 8 hours a day for each
Right.
person, no matter what.
Right.
Looking at
I
margin,
have one. I
and
have one. My master guy, my master plaster guy, Scott. He's out next week, and then
yeah,
myself.
okay. So I
So
mean,
you're
but you
fine.
didn't anticipate that, did you?
No, I knew
Did
that.
you
He's on
anticipate?
assignment.
Oh, you knew that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I just want to look at this because we can get into a couple things, but I just want to hit on this for a sec. So 5,300 was what you sold it for, and then was this like a friend price or is that normally what you would
You
sell
could
it for?
say that. You could say that. Yeah.
More like yeah.
So
Okay.
I put a
So with
range
a
in there. I'm giving you the top end number. So it was between. I said, listen, oh, you won't exceed 5,300. I said it could be a little lower. So it's 48 to 53 is going to be the top end. And I always quote my jobs with material. I make it easy for our clients. I say, I'll
with
get all the
material.
material. I'm going to
Okay.
get
Is
measurement
this
wall
a
paint,
full repaint? Is this a full repaint? Ceilings, walls, trim, doors?
only in about 5 rooms. So not the whole
Only in about
interior.
five
There's a
rooms.
living
Okay.
room, a dining room. They added a basement,
Okay.
but there's no kitchen. There's one master
Got it.
bathroom.
Got it. Okay. All right. Cause and the reason when you price jobs, are you looking at margins before you price? How are you pricing your jobs?
So I don't do square footage. I have an hourly rate and then a daily rate. So I bill out at $60 an hour per person per hour. That's in the contract in case anybody ever, wants to learn about that. I'm very transparent with that. So I'll quote it by the day and say, okay, this should take 4 people or 2 people, X amount of days. Find that daily rate.
So you quoted this one for 5 people
Mhm.
for 5 days, right?
Right, exactly.
Which you're a little concerned because it could take them 4 days.
It could take 4 days.
It
Yeah.
could take 4 days. So again, business decision here, find a 1 day job
Right,
or pay them Friday.
right,
But if you pay them Friday, I know that number is not enough to cover an ample profit for you,
right,
all the materials. I just know I've just done this with 5. Just say even if that other guy didn't go anywhere, you'd still be doing this job, right?
right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help you understand the dynamic of bigger teams. And I
Sure.
think that first of all, your customers do not care what the hourly rate is. You
Okay.
don't have to do that anymore. I appreciate the transparency. They don't care.
I only have that in the contract. I have like the terms and conditions in the bottom. It's just in case they
I
want
would
something added and say, well, Doug, since you're here,
because
you pay my crime
the
only.
thing about it is that if you finish early,
Oh, yeah.
then you're at the mercy of having to oh well that's what
Discount.
we charge you. You see what I'm saying? You don't need to do that and you shouldn't do that anymore. And it's
Okay.
not, I don't think that's manipulative. I think that's you providing resources and training those resources to maximize.
Sure.
And that deserves what it take, that saves a day of them having to worry about painters coming over, that you shouldn't be
Sure.
penalized for that.
Sure. So you're saying taking that
So,
out
but
of the terms and conditions?
yeah, they should never. That shouldn't be. I've never done it once. I know many painters who don't. It's just, hey, this is the price.
Right.
Don't worry, we'll get it done in this time. Guess what? If it goes over, I'm not going to charge someone more. Like
Sure.
that's not how this works. Like
Sure.
if I show you a price, this is what it's going to be, and you mentioned to me a little bit of a range here. Well, it could be this or it could be that. You're a business. You're allowed to make profit. Get
Right.
comfortable with that. It's okay. And I just hope I'm not overstepping here, but
No,
the
I do.
foundational things that we good.
I do appreciate like the fact as far as putting in a fixed price. I would say 99.9% of our jobs are fixed price. It's
Good. Yeah.
10,700, and
Because here's the thing, and I want to get
that.
yeah,
It's on
because when it comes to pricing can fix a lot of problems here. Because here's the thing. There's a couple of things that I want to hit on, but I just want to. The reason I'm going to pricing is there is an end goal to what I'm trying to get with here. What is the just don't tell me the names. Just give me the amounts of money each person gets per hour.
I pay. I'm up.
So 19 for the one girl. Go ahead.
The one gentleman just started, so he's at 15.
I don't need to know their names. Don't you can just go.
So
Just tell me the number.
15, 19, 21, and 23. And
15, 19, 21, 23. That's
and
4.
20.
And 20. And what about number 6?
17.
17. Okay, you're paying well. I'm gonna add this up real quick.
Sure.
Just see. So do you have workers' comp?
I have workers' comp and I have business liability.
Okay, so to staff these 6 people, it's $115 an hour without taxes. Okay. All right, without taxes.
What about
So
myself?
workers' comp, we're not worried about you.
Okay.
You're different. All right.
Love
It's
it.
not including yourself. That's 6. That's 20, 19, 15, 21, 23, and 17. That's $115 an hour. Okay. Now, workers' comp is usually about 10% of that. Is that what you're paying? About
Yes.
10%?
In Ohio, yes.
All right. So that's an additional $11 an hour. That's 115 plus 1150. That's 126.50. Okay. Then you have employer taxes, which are generally around 8% of what the hourly amount is. So 115 times 0.08, you're at $9 more. So that's 126.5 plus 9 is 135.7. Okay. So to staff this crew on a job, it is $1,085 a day. That's labor.
8-hour day.
8-hour day. 108560. That's your hot number. Okay. Reason why I was so concerned about hearing that number of 5,300 is because if this crew, I'm just talking maxing out, getting their 40 is what they are expecting. You said that it would be a 5-day job. You
Right.
said that. Although in the back of your mind, you're thinking this could be a 4-day job.
Sure.
Okay. As a business owner. So look,
Right.
let me tell you, if they did work the 5 days, if something occurred with those 5 days, guess what? You're at 5428. You're operating at a loss. That's
Right.
without materials.
Correct.
And I know one guy's missing, but that's not going to make that much of a significant difference. Because let's say he's one of the $20 an hour guys. That's only $800. That would break you even if you spent 800 this week without paying that guy, which he's probably a type of guy that deserves a week off paid because he's been with you for so long. Yes.
Sure.
True. So you would have. That's where I'm getting at now. Problem is that the reason you feel like you maybe need to be on the job a lot is to get labor moving because you don't want these jobs to lag, right?
Sure.
And you're not. That's what's causing the stress there. 100%. 100%. It's because your numbers aren't dialed in. I don't have stress. I don't need to go to the job to get production moving. I say, hey, it needs to be done this day. If you guys get done early, you get paid. If you get done late, then I come.
So pay them for
and I figure out
regardless.
It's already built into the price.
Say, this job should be Monday through Friday.
It's already built in. It's already built into the price. It's already built into the price. That's my margins already taken out. That price you have, you're not going to make any money.
Right.
You're not making any. I don't think you're making anything on that job. Nothing. I mean, because you have to factor in material. You're going to be at a, if you keep, so I know what's happening is you're probably sending people home early. Maybe. Is that happening?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, like they're not getting quite 40 hours a week. It might be 32 to 35 hours.
You take a lot of pride. You have team uniforms. You have standards. Yeah. You have all of these things. You're creating a great environment. Don't let the deal breaker of whether or not good people want to work for you be you can't provide 40 hours.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that has to do everything with how you're pricing your jobs. Because if this were my customer to put 6 guys there in 5 days, this price would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $9,000.
Right.
For six artists to come to your house.
Sure.
Now, this is where you have a conversation with Alyssa and she has a deadline. Okay. Honestly, 4-day job. Let's look at what you should price it at 4 days. I'll tell you what the price should be. Okay. I don't care what the job looks like. I can guesstimate. Tell me generally how much square footage, just generally. It doesn't have to be perfect.
I mean, it's an average size dining room. Living room is about 20 by 14.
Okay.
Master bathroom is average size.
Okay.
Master bedroom, and then there is a section of the basement which is probably again 20 by 14 because it's right below the living room.
Okay, that's it.
Ceiling wall, yeah.
And then the doors in those areas.
Pardon?
Are you doing the doors too in those areas?
No doors.
No doors. I mean, honestly,
There's some ceiling
that's a
repair.
that's a 3 day. I mean, if a crew is moving,
Right.
that's a three. I mean, that's not a lot of work
Same color
for
on the walls, so because they're selling it, so still two
just
coats
trying
on
to
the
sell
walls,
it.
two on the
All right,
ceilings,
we're okay. Yeah,
and
it's still all right, but let's say four. I'm gonna say four, but in my mind, with that many people, even five, I know you're missing your master guy. Thank God, because if he was there, it would probably be three.
right,
Knowing, I
right.
mean, you know what I'm saying? So, but really what I want to get at here is, let's say it does take 4 days. Okay. And I'm going to go based off of him being there. Just because we need to know this times four, that's 43.42. That's how much it is for 4 days of labor that you have to spend. Okay. Let's anticipate 600 in paint cost. Okay. Which I'm sure that sounds about right. Just,
Yeah,
I'm sure you use
absolutely.
good products.
I think I,
49.50.
I think I bid a 550 for material, so
You're right
factor
there.
it,
So
factor
40,
it in,
49.50 is what the total cost would be at 4 days. Okay.
yeah.
You're making $450 as a business owner. That doesn't include your salary or wage that
Right,
you should be paying yourself aside from what profit you should be taking. Red zone, brother.
right.
Red zone. Major, major red zone. And I'm saying that just to make you aware, because the problems that you're dealing with come from the bottom here, the foundation of how your pricing structure is. This is exactly what I think your next move should be. And I want to give you some advice here. This is a friend, I assume, correct?
It's a friend, yes.
A friend,
Correct,
okay, that you're doing the job for. He's wanting to sell his house.
correct.
Would you agree that it's in his best interest to paint everything?
Yeah, I told him you'll
Okay,
move in
stop
that
there. I
time.
don't want yes
Yeah.
or no. It's a one yes or
Yes,
no, right? Okay. All
yes,
right. So what our goal is as business owners is to maximize. Remember, I'm a
sure.
person of faith. I have Christian values. I used to be in car sales. I got out because I didn't like that aspect. I don't sell in a manipulative way. I don't push things on people that don't need. I understand that if I don't come across to them in a persuasive fashion, backing it with facts and ultimately truly helping them achieve their goal, okay, that's how I sell. That's how I do it,
Sure,
because it can get very misconstrued when it comes down to selling. So we want to make sure we eliminate those false beliefs. Where
sure.
I'm getting at is this: we need to, number one, know what max out number is for you, okay, for the week. 5 days. And I'm going to say that we're just going to try to give you a 30% profit margin. That's what we want to achieve with you right now, especially in this growth phase. Okay.
Sure.
So let's look at what it would be first to staff your whole team for the week. Okay. Whole team for the week comes down to 1085 times 5. That's 5,400 in labor. Okay. That's for 5 days. Everyone getting 40 hours.
So that
Okay.
5,400
50
is with that's with the workman's comp, projected workman's
It's with
compensation.
everything.
And the 8%
That's
taxes.
120. That's 126.50 per hour
Yep.
times 8. Each person gets times 8. Okay,
Right.
times 5.
Right.
So that's $5,400 as a business that you need to pay, and that's all in with taxes and workers' comp. Okay, it's 5 days. Everyone gets 40 hours, right?
So that's okay.
So
So that's my billing, even if they're only getting 32 to 35 hours. Right. I guess that's where
I'm just
my math
talking.
is
I'm
going.
talking. I'm talking max out. Oh,
Right.
no, no, no. You'll see where I'm going with this. You're
Okay.
just seeing where I'm going with this. No, no, you'll see where I'm going. This is maxing out at 5,400. Okay. Here's where I want to get to. Do you agree that if someone wants to sell their house, it doesn't really make sense for them to paint a couple areas of the house? It's kind of silly, isn't it?
Right. Correct.
Why are you
The
doing
owner's
that?
going to
What's
paint it their
they
colors.
think? Yeah, they think that it's nice to freshen the house up neutral, but why are we leaving rooms out? Have you asked that question to the customer?
Typically, I do. Sometimes it's not real.
Typically you do. Okay, but
I
here,
like
let
the
me, I'm
whole,
just helping
the
you.
whole gamut.
Let me keep going. Do you think in this house, you've seen the house, do you think that the rest of the house should be painted?
I would say yes.
Yes. If you
Yes.
were to paint the whole house, how much material dollars would that be?
For the
Probably
whole house,
1,100 maybe.
um, just the walls and the ceiling. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if we're going
No,
through
no,
the
no,
whole
no, no,
house,
no. Walls, ceiling, trim, doors,
yeah, you said 1,100.
everything.
I would say
About
11,000.
11. No. I'm talking about just the materials.
Oh, the materials alone, yeah, easily.
1,100. Let's say
Mhm.
1,200 to be safe. Okay. All right. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to see how we can maximize this job. Okay.
Sure.
Identifying how long it's going to take if we did do the job. So I'm going one more step. Do you think your team of, what is it, 5 without
Mhm.
the master painter this
Right.
week? And I assume you're probably going to want to be there. How
Yes.
long would it take you to do the entire house from start to finish?
I would
If
add
you
another,
wanted ceiling walls, trim doors, huh?
I would add another week. So we would be there 2 full weeks. So say
You'd
10
be
days.
there for you'd be there for 10 days.
10 days.
Okay. Okay. So
Because we're doing the entire first floor, part of the basement. We're not doing anything on the second floor.
not
No,
doing anything on the second floor.
no
Okay.
stairwell,
So
no bedrooms on the second floor.
right. Okay. So depending on how you frame this question, identifying cost is still important. So I did for 5 days. So let's multiply our 5,400 times 2. So for 2 weeks with your team being there, that's 10,800. Okay. And now that I know the extent of the job, it's probably going to be 2,000 in labor. Okay.
Right.
So 12,800 is what the total cost would be for 2 weeks. Okay. That's 10 days of labor. So identifying what a margin would be on 12,800 would be, you would make, your goal at 30% should be to make 3,800 bucks on that 2 week
Right.
time frame based
Sure.
off of what the, what the cost. No, I'm sorry, that's cost. So hold on one second.
So you added
So
30% on top of that 12,800?
Yeah. So that's total cost. So, I mean, again, it's just so hard because you're so underpricing what you're doing in a span of 4 days that to transition this to get them to do the full house would almost be a $16,000 jump.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, for them, because
Right.
it wasn't priced properly in the beginning. Because if it were priced properly, the total price should have been, I have my numbers here. So the total price should have been, if you priced it properly, it should have been 4,300 in labor. We had 600 in cost. So you're about 49.40. If you were shooting for a 50% margin, the price for this project should have been 98.80 for a 4-day job. That's
Right.
how much it should have been at a 50% margin. Okay. Now, at about a 30% margin, it should have been around, I don't know, I'm just going to guess here, around 7,500.
And that's for the 5 day, the 1 week?
That's for 4.
For 4?
That's for 4. Yeah, that's for 4. Because I
And
just
is that,
said
how
10
many
days.
employees is that again, Tanner? Is that the 5?
That's with, no, that's with everyone. That's with everyone. I'm just doing this kind of hypothetically here, but where I'm getting at is, again, what I'm trying to do is help you frame an upsell.
Sure.
And the reason why I do that is I want to see if you can max out your week on this job, because number one, we know that getting a 1-day job on Friday isn't going to happen.
Right.
It's just hard to do, to
Sure.
pick up. Okay. So Friday comes around next week. You're out of stuff to paint at your house. It is going to come to that time where it's like, okay, guys, you got it done. I don't got anything left for you, and I'm trying to help you avoid that.
Right.
So where I'm getting at is we got to know what our max amount for the week needs to be. That's where we're going to start. Okay. So where I'm getting at is if you're staffing your team of 6, again, this guy leaving isn't important to me right now because he's going to be back. So 54.25 is your total labor cost. Write that number down if you have a pen and paper. 54.25. That is your weekly 40-hour labor cost. Okay. That's all in. So every week you've got to make sure for the week you are selling more than that number at the very least. Right. So right now, if this is your only job for the week next week, that's a major issue.
Right.
Okay. Major issue.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? So
that is just labor. That has nothing to do with material. Correct.
Brother, that is just labor. Isn't it crazy when you dive into these numbers, man, how easily it can get?
I like the honesty. It's really,
Yeah. I mean, we got to get there because you and I are a lot alike. I give raises off of emotion, but I also back it with data
Sure.
too.
Yeah.
So if we're giving
That's
these dollars out left and right, stuff adds up pretty quick.
sure. Sure.
I love hard workers and I love rewarding hard work. It's just we got to make sure that we're doing it responsibly. But that
Sure.
just challenges us to sell more work and be better business owners. So it goes hand in
Absolutely.
hand. But where I'm getting at is typically you're going to spend about right now at your phase in business, you're going to be about 800 to 1,000 tops in materials. That's sundries and paint a
Sure.
week. Okay. So guess what? You're at $6,425 cost per week. And brother, that doesn't include marketing. That doesn't include other things that you're buying, domain hosting, all this stuff, your business insurance, that's overhead.
Sure.
I mean, do you find that like, I mean, do you find that you're just not happy with how much is coming in?
Um, money has never really been a huge driver for me. I know it's important, but it's not the utmost thing. I personally look at other aspects, being able to train people who've never painted before, give them an opportunity, drawing them from a unhappy place to a happy place and kind
Love
of go
it.
from there. I mean, we're profitable, and I know that we can definitely be more profitable and reward those people that are kind of put in
Right.
place and
Yeah.
work on our team.
This isn't a question of what is your driver. This is a
Right.
question of I have all those same values too, and I can attest to those. I identify with them, but in the same way, you take a lot of pride in being able to provide great opportunity for people. You can't do those things without making sure that the money
Right.
is there, because the
I totally
money,
agree.
you know what I'm saying? The money
Absolutely.
is it could be, you can use money for good stuff and evil stuff,
Right.
but it's going to amplify whatever your intentions are.
Sure.
So we got to make sure it's there to amplify the good. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm getting at. With that being said, I'll ask my question again. Are you happy with the amount of money that's coming in? Because that's either going to be able to allow you to bless individuals, including your family, or
So
it's going to put you in a position of stress.
no,
No.
no,
Okay.
no.
So
That's
good.
full
So
honesty. So
we need to rewire how we price jobs. Number one. The second aspect of this is figuring out what the number is that we need to hit every week. And that
sure.
right now is 6425. Write that down.
Yep.
That is our 40-hour a week, because our employees deserve 40 hours. They
Right.
need it. They need it. It's not a thing that some will be, oh, okay, cool, I got a day off. But the people that you want in your business have bills to pay, they got
Right.
families to feed, and they want to save a little bit. And they
Sure.
need that 40. When they think about how much they're going to get paid when you hired them, they multiply their hours by 40 as soon as they leave the interview.
Sure.
Okay. They don't multiply it by 31.25.
Right.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
I never looked at it from that aspect, but
and I hate to say this, but it's broken promises is what it is. And you gotta understand that from the employee perspective. Although money may not be the highest priority in your life, which is amazing, it is for them, and they're
right.
not out of that. And we want to get them out of that, and we want to put them in a position where it's consistent every month, where our painters, our best people, Alyssa, is making 2,500 to 3,000 a month. And it's working out for everyone. So that number 6425, Doug, is our lighthouse. Okay. We know that at the end of the day, anything in excess of that is yours. Now, yours meaning profit meaning raises, profit meaning better equipment, profit meaning more marketing to generate more opportunity, to generate more business. Okay. So ultimately this week, what I believe that you should do is try to hit, I believe that you should try to hit because it's gonna be hard, but I think you should try to hit 7425. So that means that you have a $5,300 job right now. 7425 is what we need to be at. That covers everyone for an addition. Everyone works Friday. And that would mean that you need to find 2125 worth of work at the house you're going to go to next week.
Right. I see that.
Does all that make sense?
I feel that. Oh, absolutely.
Do you think that there's $2,000 worth of Do you think that there's $2,000 worth of upsell opportunity at the house you're going to?
I know there is. Yes. Yes.
Okay, and do you
I've
think
seen
that
it. I
now
mean,
now let's
we're not doing closets. We can easily do closets. I mean, that could
okay,
be something.
and before this conversation, would that be something hard for you to bring up?
Oh, it's very easy to bring up. We're
Easy,
there.
good. So
We have the manpower. We have the paint. We have the skill set. Let's just do this little
skill
closet.
set, but
We're going to
also
get
what you
that
need to
back and then
focus.
sell.
So how are you going to sell that? Now I want to get to how are you going to sell that to this person to where it's an easy decision?
I can let them know. I already blanked off on our schedule. We are pertaining to your job. Your job is going to be our only focus for next week. I'm not going to start with 3 guys and the next day there's going to be 7 guys. There's a full crew there to get it done.
Nope, he doesn't care about that.
Okay.
And he's a friend. You might assume that he cares about that, but we're talking about when we go out into the wild in a couple weeks with normal people.
Right.
We're lucky we got a friend this week. He doesn't care about that. He cares about one thing, brother. He cares about selling his house.
Sure. As fast as he can.
Okay. That is the only thing that man cares about. He likes you. You're a good friend. But guess what? If he wasn't selling his house, he wouldn't be working there, bro.
Sure.
Okay. So what we got to do is we identify what his internal motivation is, his underlying motivation to get the house sold. You're an expert. You've done this for years. You know what gets people to buy houses based off of the way that they look.
Sure.
The way you frame this is very simple. Hey, man, listen, doing some thinking. I got an extra day on my schedule Friday. I looked at the house. I know what your goal is. It's to sell it. And I think that it would be wise to at least get all the trim done throughout the house. Maybe we're not going to do all the walls, but just keep the trim consistent throughout the house. So if they walk in, they see bright white trim and it doesn't change to yellow when they go upstairs.
Yeah, it's a selling point. I absolutely agree.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Doing trim for the rest of that house is $2,000 easily. Yes.
Right. Oh, yes.
Saves you the day, puts a little pressure on your team. Okay. Now you're confident in the margin.
Right.
And guess what? I didn't even factor in the fact that you're not paying your master painter, which we do allow for that in this price, by the way, if you want to surprise him with $500 for the week, just for his vacation or whatever he's doing. And that still leaves you with more than you're going to be making,
I hear you.
So, so there's a lot we can go into here, but was this helpful?
Extremely helpful. I do have a question about that. So that number, the weekly number, you said the 7425. Can I use that number as a factor to say, okay, I got 2 people out on vacation, 1 person's out sick, and just, can I get that? I guess my missing piece for the business, get me a number, an average number of 1 employee per day. And use that.
Don't worry about that. That hourly thing is so confusing when it comes to pricing. It's actually was created when general contractors and painters work together in a new construction commercial atmosphere, because that thing is just so dialed down to budgets. When it comes to selling jobs to residential customers, they don't have to bring it to the board. They don't have to bring it to whoever's cutting the check and say, this is our margin for this job. They're not assigned a budget. They can think they have a budget, but that comes from the air. Sure. That comes from a neighbor. That comes from a past experience. It's not coming from anything other than that, typically. Okay. So get rid of it. Price your jobs based on your margins. When you give someone a raise, that means that your price needs to go up to keep your profit margin consistent.
Sure.
Okay. So you're as a I would say as a goalpost, you should be looking at 50%. Like that is what the average painting company tries to hit. Okay.
And podcast,
yeah. And it should fluctuate based on supply and demand. I have a full month worth of jobs booked as I sit here. So anyone that comes in, I can't even get to them usually within 4 weeks, which gives me enough time to find people that are willing to pay me at 50%. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. But guess what? If I was in your position, and I don't know what you have in a couple of weeks, I'm just saying, let's say this was your only job. I would be pricing. Go ahead.
I just did the calendar yesterday, so we're at 7 weeks. So right now we're looking for. We have a lot of quotes out there, but anybody that bites on that, I essentially run on a first come first serve. Like,
So you're 7 weeks out currently.
yeah.
Okay, good.
So through
So,
first week of November.
and I would go through each one of those jobs and do exactly what we did with this one. And you should know what margin you priced each job out at.
Right.
Okay. Because I don't want you going in this direction for 7 weeks, or there's going to be an issue somewhere. There's going to be a kink in the wheel. There's going to have to be, right? So where I'm getting at with this is if the demand is low, in other words, we don't have those jobs, I'm dropping my pricing to only allow for me to get 30 to 35% of a profit margin. I'll get 50 on the next one. The first priority of yourself is to make sure your team has 40 hours.
Sure.
That's it.
And they're paid.
That is the only priority. And then you get the reward after that's been accomplished.
Sure. I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
So, yeah, but that's, I mean, when it comes to, but I think that there needs to be a split happening at some point. 6 is just a lot. It is. It's a lot of bodies on a job. I think
there's a lot of bodies on the job, and it's a lot of movement, but it's also, I mean, it's a huge gap in skill set. So I got one guy.
Well, you have a leader. You have Alyssa. I think you're just lacking another leader. I think that and here's the thing. You said something earlier about no matter your skill set, no matter all these things, you get $15 an hour. Throw that far out of the window. I know what you're trying to do, but there are really good people that would love to come into your business and prove to you, and you can learn that within the first week. I do a working interview, and there are people that I will start at a higher amount, but guess what? In order to even get to that, they got to do a 1 week working interview, and I can figure them out within 1 week.
And that's what I do. I do the working interview, and I do tell them, because I actually sit down with people and I interview them. We go for a cup of coffee, and these are people I found on Indeed. I've had a lot of luck on Indeed, and I'll say, okay, I need three references. So we'll sit down and have a cup of coffee, and you can tell a lot by somebody in half hour, 45 minutes that interview, how engaging they are, or if they're late to the interview, and what they can bring to the table. I used to always look for that painter with 10, 15 years experience. They never turn out to be the right fit for me, because they're kind of set in our ways, their standards. They're not going to adhere to our, kind of structure and how we do each job. But I have given people the opportunity and tell them, as much as I'm interviewing you for the week, you interview us and tell me, hey, I don't like your 8:30 start. I'd rather start at 8. Great. Hey, I don't like this ladder. It's junky. The rope is missing. Or, hey, I need a place to wash my brushes. I don't have a sink at home. Hey, I'll take your brushes home and wash them for you. Little things like that are feedback that, only motivates me and everybody around us. So I tell them, I have an open door policy, open phone policy. Call me at night. Call me with questions you have.
Dude,
tell me the little things.
Your leadership is what this industry needs.
Yeah.
But you have to balance that out with a narrow focus when it comes to margins, numbers, productivity, deliverability, and being, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. I think if anything, that makes you an even better leader, because you're the person who ensures that people can provide for their families. And I know that you take a lot of pride in that. I could just tell. But don't let numbers be the reason why you're falling short. It just requires a little thought and a little calculation, a little creativity when it comes to sales, having standards with your margins, and just, creating room for growth, because right now you're kind of breaking even if this is what's happening. And that can be stressful. Again, empowering leadership is you not being there.
Right. Exactly. And I know I could make more if I'm on the job. I do some light carpentry with my skill set and experience, but I mean, I know eventually I need to just kind of back off the brush and just focus on training and hiring and the management of the company. That's the route and the path I want to take. If I had a plan, I know it's not set in stone, but if it was a 2 to 5 year, window, I think I'm finally getting to that point to just kind of let go of the reins and just let it ride. And it's steered on course when it needs to be. Faith for me goes a long way too, but also just trusting that people can learn a skill set and
Yeah.
have a growth, have a path of their own.
Yeah, have
So,
room, man. I love it. I think,
yeah,
but I look at it like this: you're 6 years in from making the business legitimate. Hopefully, this could be a pivotal point for you to really narrow down those numbers. Um, I did this early on. I drew two circles,
mhm,
and I went like this and this on a piece of paper, and I drew a line underneath, kind of like a little chart. And I just put I put three more circles under one and three more circles under the other. And I said, okay, well, this is the leader. And you would put A at the top one, and you would put the name of each person underneath that person. And then you would do the same on another one. And if you're missing someone in that circle, well, then that means that when you hire, hey, I need to find somebody that I'm going to make a manager. And I know that you probably didn't have that mindset when you hired Alyssa. I think she
so,
just proved to you that
yeah,
she was going to be a manager.
absolutely.
But
I
this
thought I was
time
going to
needs
be
to
the
be,
manager. I was
you
just going to
thought
have,
you were going to be.
yeah, sure, and manage
Well,
six
well, I
people.
think
Yeah,
I think it was meant to be, because maybe that's now giving you the idea like, hey, you know what? Maybe I can trust someone else to run the
sure,
job. And I think, you know what? There's nothing wrong with you, Douglas, leaving Alyssa alone
right,
and only coming in on the last day, calling as many times as you need to.
right,
Okay, that's fine. I do that too. Okay.
right,
And running the next crew, because I think that, yes, we can maximize one crew. Again, we're squeezing these numbers really tight, but the pressure gets relieved when another crew is generating business. Same amount of people, two jobs happening. It's just finding that sweet spot.
sure,
But that doesn't mean that you can't be the manager of that second crew. You could do
sure,
it right now. You can leave
right,
Alyssa alone. She's got a great painter with her. It could be a team of four over there, and then you can lead the team of two. And then
right,
in the meantime, you're hiring, looking for your replacement.
sure. I see
You
that. And this
know,
could have
you
kind of like my aspect is kind of like, riding a bicycle with training wheels. Eventually, you take the training wheels off and it just goes.
train them
Okay, next
off,
one.
let them go.
Yeah,
And guess what? When I
on to the
first learned how
next.
to ride a bike, I definitely hit a tree. And
Right,
guess what? I got back on that thing, and I got better and I got better. And you're in the
right,
same way you made mistakes when you were running jobs, but you didn't have anyone to tell or run to. They're
right.
going to make mistakes, and you got to let them tell and run to you without feeling fear, which I know that they wouldn't. You just got to be understanding, like, hey, these guys, they're going to make mistakes. Happens.
Yeah,
It's just part of it. And
that's
and you're going to be there to fix them.
that's actually a great point because I do tell them during the interview, and I kind of reiterate this during their initial, week or two. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to paint something the wrong
Yeah.
color. You can caulk something that shouldn't have been caulked. I tell them we are like transformers. We're in the cosmetic industry. It's paint. Now, if you took out a load-bearing wall, that's dangerous. Or if you took out some hot wire, we're not doing electrical or plumbing. We're painting. Worst comes to worst, you just paint it the right color next time. And for
Yeah.
them, it's like self-assurance. Like, okay, who cares if you got a little bit of the wrong color on the wall? Like, we can make this work. Don't lose sleep
Yeah.
over it. I'm not going to gripe over it. I'm just going to
Yeah.
steer you in the right direction. I am going to correct you
Yeah. Yeah.
when
No, like
you're
I said, man, there's something that's really important to me. It's about professionalizing the industry. It needs great leaders, man. It
yeah,
needs great leaders like you
yeah,
who care about people, who want to provide a good place to work. You're a man of faith. You lead
yeah,
with your heart, as I do, but I also have to have that muscle that balances out my heart, that's about business
sure,
and is strategic and understands that that is as much of a responsibility. If anything, that is the source of the ability to provide blessings. Uh, Again, the idea that I used to have about money is, I didn't want to make a lot of it because I didn't want to be of it. I didn't want to be consumed by it. But all it is a resource like anything else. It could
sure,
be used in excess, and it could be used for the wrong things, or it can be used for the right things. So I just changed my mindset about it. And when I sell, I don't feel bad or guilty. I say, I'm selling to ensure my margins are correct. I'm selling to make sure I can give raises. I'm selling and looking at these numbers and saying, hey, unfortunately, unfortunately, we can't take this project because we have a minimum. And you know how hard that is for me to say? I love helping people. I know that chances are we're gonna have to probably find someone else, but hey, that's our standard, and I can't drop below that standard. Does that make
sure.
sense?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That last point really hit home because I think it can snowball. And I've been in that pit before where you're like, okay,
Yeah.
bring it down to get the price, and it just snowballs. And then
Yeah.
my is you have so
Yeah.
many contracts out there. where people actually sign a contract that you're going to paint this for $1,000. I'm like, oh, man, that was the wrong price, but you can now do the work. And you're almost like robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like, I'll make it up on the next job.
Yeah.
And you're
like I said, man,
6
like
months
I said, Doug, circle that number 6425.
Yeah.
Circle it, know it. Look at what you got scheduled for the next 7 weeks. And if they don't hit that number or exceed that number, you have a long night ahead of you, but you can really squeeze jobs down, think about them, look for upsell opportunity, and try to get to your North Star, which at 6 people, you should be hovering around 10 grand a week.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that range of like 9 to 10,000 a week. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. I think,
oh my gosh, extremely. Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, I think I would love to have you back to chat again in a couple weeks, man. So maybe some little, so bring us some good news, man.
Yeah, I will for sure. Definitely appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon, Doug. See you.
God bless. Appreciate it.
God bless. Yeah.
Bye now.
Dripjobs CRM is finally here. That's right. So Dripjobs is an automation platform for contractors, home service professionals that's going to automatically follow up with your customers. It's going to allow you to send invoices, estimates. It's going to allow you to send out blast marketing emails to individuals based on where they are in the buying process. This software is next level. And I'm reaching out to you. You're a listener of this podcast, and I want you to be one of the first ones to give it a shot. So if you want to see what Dripjobs can do for your business, I'd love for you to head over to dripjobs.com, sign up for a free demo, and get your team involved, and let us sit with you and show you how powerful this software is. It's going to save you time, it's going to make you money, and you're going to love the features that are built into Dripjobs. So if you want to check it out, head over to dripjobs.com. And we will give you first priority being a podcast listener to be one of the very first to try out Dripjobs in your home service business. I'm super excited to share that with you, and I'll catch you on the next episode.